Hi everyone, Michael Handfield back at you with another video on coronavirus. So I've been listening to Will Tuttle, the author of The World Peace Diet. He has a monthly World Peace Diet circle call, and it's for World Peace Diet facilitators, or basically just anyone who pays to want to be on these calls. But basically, it's for World Peace Diet facilitators, people who are able to, uh, who learn more in depth about the issues in the book and who are able to teach the ideas in the World Peace Diet to others. So I learned a lot there, and I really wanted to. Oh, I just got a message here on Facebook, but I just wanted to, and I'm going to shut off my internet now because I have limited data. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I heard and a little bit about my thoughts, more thoughts about the coronavirus because I had so many things that I wanted to discuss here today. And hopefully this video will not be that long. Sorry if it is, but I wanted to get all this in to the video. Again, I'm doing these videos because the message is more important than my face and it takes up less space and it's quicker in uploading to YouTube. So I do these videos. So again, thank you for joining me here, and do check out my other videos and get my books because my books talk more about not just this particular this disease, coronavirus, but in general about what's happening in the world and how we can really live at more peace and love and solve a lot of these problems that we're faced with, or majority of the problems. So, coronavirus, I believe, is there's two facets to the coronavirus. Now, first, I just want to mention that coronavirus is very similar to other diseases in that they're all linked together. Basically, it's a product of someone's immune system being too weak. And usually it's either very, very young children or very, very senior people, older people. And it's usually kids under 10 years of age, uh, mostly actually kids under 5 years of age, and adults that are 65 or older that have weakened immune systems. And so this is the tactic of the government and mass corporations and mass media. This is the tactic to target young people, very young children, and very, or I shouldn't say very old, but older people, to target them in whatever diseases or things because they know that they have the weakest immune systems. And so to target these two groups of people. Now, there's two things pertaining to this, and again, part of this is my opinion, and part of it is just what I'm thinking that I want to get out. I think that people really need to understand, and a lot of it that I'm talking to you about today is truth, is really what's happening. But whenever it is my opinion or whatever I think that's happening, of course, I will mention that in these videos. So, from my understanding and what I feel that's happening is that there's two facets to this. Now, the first facet is absolute truth, and one that we cannot deny, a lot of us cannot deny. A lot of these diseases that are happening, uh, I mean, the Humane Society of the United States, even though I don't agree with everything they do, but the Humane Society of the United States says that about 3/4 of all the illnesses all the infectious diseases that humans get come from eating animals and animal products. And it's very, very true. I believe even more than 3/4. But how do we really know what is the percentage? We really don't know. And so I not feel, but I know, and it is truth that eating animal foods, no matter where the animal foods come from, causes virtually all of the diseases that we're facing today around the world. Now, I'm not talking about diseases of poor nutrition and uh, sanitation and clean water and all these things, or lack of calories. I'm talking about people that are eating the so-called recommended calories that our bodies need and are developing diseases. May it be these infectious diseases or maybe diseases of affluence like heart disease, diabetes, cancers, etc. So this is the first thing, that a lot of the diseases that we're faced with today, and they're all basically the same because they basically thrive in a very low, a person that has very weak immune systems. And so if you are, usually when you're younger, very young child or older person, usually over 65 or over 70, 75, you're more prone to this because we've been eating animal products for such a long time. Our bodies are also, when we're young, our bodies are also are not able to cope that great with diseases and viruses and things like that. So we get sick a lot. As well as so when we get older, uh, we've been eating animal foods, acidic foods for our whole lives, and so it's caught up with us, and we're getting to a point where our bodies really can't handle it that much more, and our bodies can't fight off these acidic foods. And so these diseases are not caused by viruses in the air. They're not caused by getting um, getting it from someone else, contracting it from someone else. It's really when our bodies are very weak due to it being very acidic and living in a very acidic environment, that we are then able to contract these diseases through someone else or through the air. And so if we're getting colds frequently or flus frequently or coughing frequently or any illness or disease, or we get cuts and they don't heal that quickly, or we or whatever illness that we're getting, it's because our bodies are, again, they are in a detox mode. Everyone in the world is in detoxing. We're in detoxification. All of us in the world are toxic, and we're trying to release those toxins. And that's not a good state to be in. We want to be in a perfect tip-top state. We don't want to be in detoxifying. We want to be in a good, pristine shape with tons of energy and very, very little, if no colds or flus at all. And so if we're eating at all any animal foods, if we're at all eating any cooked foods, no matter what kind of cooked food it is, we're ingesting acidic foods, or at least foods that can become acidic once we consume them. And so if we want to be living in an alkaline body, we have to consume only raw vegan foods, fresh, raw, ripe fruits and vegetables, preferably ripe, raw, fresh fruits. So that's the first part. The second part is that part of it could be manufactured by the government, and there's several parts to this. And so this is just my opinion, my thoughts on this second part. But I do believe that part of this virus, or at least majority of I shouldn't say majority, but some of the viruses that is plaguing humanity, and specifically when it comes to infectious diseases, Preferably, I would say probably 15, maybe 10 to 25% of the infectious diseases are probably manufactured in a government lab. From what I heard by Will Tuttle, and I'm just repeating this, that he mentioned that Pentagon and what else was it? Oh my goodness, I'm really bad at remembering things, but basically, Pentagon, CIA, all these they have scientists working for them, and they create these in laboratories. So that could have some truth in that. So they create these viruses in labs, but who knows really what's the truth? We do know that a lot of the infectious diseases comes from being in contact with animals, comes from consuming the flesh and the secretions of animal products. And I'm talking about all animal products. Now, I'm not saying that every single animal product is creating some infectious disease. It's just that whatever animal products we are consuming, no matter where the animals come from, if they come from factory farms or backyard raised or whatever, and no matter what animal products we're eating, if we're ingesting animal products, we have a higher chance of developing these infectious diseases or diseases like cancers, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, inflammation, and all this stuff. And one reason is because these foods, and especially because they're also being cooked, because majority of people eat cooked meat, dairy, eggs, we're putting into our bodies very acidic foods that our bodies can't handle, and it leaches calcium out through our bones. That's why people get osteoporosis, brittle bones, and problems with joints and inflammation and things like that. And um, going back to the first point that I mentioned, and that is that all foods, if it's not raw, vegan, fresh, whole, ripe, raw foods, all foods that are not raw, vegan are acidic, and they're going into our bodies acidic, and then we become acidic, and we have less of a chance to fight off these outer viruses that may be out in the environment or through other people. And so the key is to consume raw vegan foods is really the key here. Now, if you have cooked foods once in a while here and there, it's not going to really kill us. But if we want to be kind of like almost bulletproof, raw vegan food, specifically fruit, is really the key to building our immune system. And that's one area where I kind of disagree with Will, because he talks about um, how beans and grains and all these other foods are beneficial as well. But what's funny is that these foods go into the body as and we become acidic. So really, it's not a good food. It's acidic foods that we're consuming. Any plant-based food that is cooked is really it's really not a whole food, first of all, because we're removing a lot of the nutrients, and we're killing off a lot of the nutrients. But um, we're also removing the water. So in the end, it's not a whole food anymore, and I mean, it started out as a whole food, but it's not a whole food anymore when we cook the life out of it. Even if we just steam, we're cooking some of the life force out of that food. And a lot of these plant foods, anyways, like potatoes and certain other plant foods, we cannot eat raw, and so we have to cook them in order for the foods to be palatable. Like for example, we cannot eat legumes without having to somewhat either sprout them or to cook them in order to eat them, and therefore they're not really edible. In fact, I tried I tried lentils and beans sprouted, and they're not good at all. I mean, I gagged when I was eating them, and tasted to me just, and I sprouted them enough, like a lot, long time, and I did it properly, and it tasted to me just like I ate raw beans before, like not raw, but it was like the packaged beans, and so dried beans, and so it cannot be good for us because it goes into our body acidic. It creates all kinds of problems. I mean, if you read the book Grain Damage, and if you think about the environmental impact that like legumes have, especially beans and grains, especially grains have on the environment, I mean, it's definitely not environmentally sustainable. Now, it's definitely better than animal products for sure. Definitely 100%, even compared to organic animal products. But by far not uh, the healthiest choice, by far. And so I understand that a lot of us can't eat just raw vegan foods, and we need something substantial in our lives because we all been bombarded and programmed, and we all have been eating cooked foods probably since the day one of our journey as a human being. And we're just so addicted and crave cooked foods, and myself included. And that's why I keep on bouncing back and forth from cooked food to raw foods because of the fact that it's just cooked foods are so addicting. And it may be that I need to fast for a very long time, water fast for at least 2, 3, 4 weeks. But I always had, all my life, I had a eating disorder. I eat all the time. I love eating, and I've always eaten like a lot of food. And compared to most people, I eat like 2 to 3 times or even more than most people. And so the 2 points I just want to mention again is that first, a lot of these diseases, any kind of illness that the human body develops, it usually develops it because of two things. Well, actually, three things. Well, no, it's actually two things. It's one is the food that we consume and our outer influences, the environment that we live in. So it could be pollution in the air, it could be that we're, radiation, or it could be, technology that's giving us certain illnesses or whatever. But majority of the diseases, especially because we are shoveling in 3 times or more a day animal foods, and again, from wherever they come from, that is probably the leading cause of most of the diseases of affluence of Western civilization that we're getting today. And that's like number one. And the number two thing pertaining specifically to coronavirus or in general infectious diseases could be also, and this is my belief and what I've also been reading and what I've heard, is the fact that some of it could be manufactured. Some of the infectious diseases and part of the coronavirus could be manufactured in a lab by government scientists. So that's something that could be happening because I question the government and the media and what they're telling us. I absolutely don't watch or listen to any mass media news. And in fact, a lot of times not even the alternative news, because alternative news is still based, the majority of the alternative news is still based on the herding culture, the herding mentality. So it's still based on seeing non-human animals as property, as food, as things to be used. And the underlying mentality of these people are still basically the same as everyone else, even though they're not really listening to the mass media. And a lot of times these people do listen or watch the mass media news because of the fact that, they need to commentate on what people said what these corporations said and the mega corporations said in their in the news and everything. And but I've kind of been checking around here and there about the state of what's happening in Costa Rica because of the fact that I have to renew my visa, my tourist visa, and it's happening very soon, like in the beginning of April. And so I need to know like what's happening. I'm doing a business here. Can I just go out a few days out of the country and come back? Like what's the state of that? And I really don't know because of the fact that, and nobody knows because of the fact that you don't know who is telling lies and who is telling truth. Governments, you never believe them. They say one thing and then they say another thing. It's like the boy who cried wolf. They say so many things, bad things, and they say one or two good things. What? How can you trust them any longer? And that's the main reason why I don't trust governments because they lie like crazy. They fabricate a lot of things, and they're really not here for our protection, even though they have created some good human laws to protect, women's rights and children and so forth. It's more of they're more here to enslave and to take our freedom away. And so the whole idea really is these two things are happening. So we have to first question the narrative of our society and the mass media, the mega corporations, and the governments and the elites. Really, really question and don't take everything as like, yeah, it's happening, and let's follow everybody and let's be tuned into the news 24 hours and CNN or whatever. It's like, no, we got to get away from that. We got to really live by our values. First of all, be vegan, preferably be raw vegan, and eating most of our calories or all of our calories from raw, fresh, ripe uh, fruits and vegetables, and to stop following this mass hysteria that's happening all around the world with governments and mass media and mega corporations and so forth, because they're dictating us and they're enslaving us, and it's all lies, or at least majority of it is, and the rest is like fabricated. And even if they do tell one or two, truth stories, it's like, how do you know if what's truth and what's not? And why would you even listen to them? Why would you want to listen to them at all? So some people say you have to know what's happening because you cannot just be isolated somewhere in the forest. You have to really know what's happening. Like, why do you really have to know what's happening when you live a happy, beautiful, compassionate life? I mean, yeah, maybe if somehow you go against the law and they throw you in prison, I mean, you gotta somewhat conform in some way. Even though I'm a non-conformist, I kind of have to conform. I have to do my tourist visa if I don't want to end up in prison. And that's the problem when it comes to governments, is that they don't protect the really, really good people, the vegans, the fruitarians, the people that are really doing good in this world to bring compassion and love to the world, and to share this message with other people. They're suppressing everyone, excluding those big people on top, the mega billionaires and the possibly trillionaires as well, and mega corporations that are doing more harm than ever. And it's sad to see that a lot of the good people, a lot of the vegans and fruitarians are getting shut down. A lot of these small vegan businesses are closing because they can't meet their financial needs. They're losing money, going bankrupt, and closing. And a lot of people are suffering because of these mass hysteria that's going on all around the world. So that's just a few things that I wanted to share with you today about the coronavirus and infectious diseases and things like that. And I find that a lot of my videos are not reaching the masses of people. And I really appreciate people that are dedicated subscribers and dedicated um, fans of mine. People have read my books and go to my website often and go to my YouTube channel and so forth and are subscribed to my email newsletter and all that. I really appreciate all your support and dedication. And if you're vegan, sharing the message, I really thank you for doing your part, sharing this message to the world and to everyone that you can, and spreading the truth of really what's happening in this world. And again, even though I don't have, on a lot of my videos, don't have a lot of views, I'm trying to get this message out to as many people as I possibly can with the limited resources that I currently have on limited data on my phone, and trying to do what I can, living the way that I really want to live, trying to non-conform, but conforming in order not to be in jail and put behind bars, because then I wouldn't be able to upload these videos and share these messages with others, and share my books and write more books and do things that really talk about the truth about what's happening in this world, really, really, really what's happening in this world, about these real important issues that we're faced with here on planet Earth. And once again, thank you so much for listening and watching. And I know this has been a little longer video, but I think it's very important, even though I may have repeated a few things, it's very important that I get this message out in the best way that I think possible. And even though I may have repeated myself several times, it's good that I sometimes drill and tell people several times about what's really happening, and get people to understand the real truth. So again, once again, thank you so much for joining me here. Please give this video a thumbs up and share it around everybody so more and more people can be exposed to the truth, so that they may one day awaken to the truth and become vegan and raw vegan, and we can live in the world we really want to live in, where it's possible to work in harmony with love and compassion for all life, and really to build a world we really want to live in. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you really find this video and a lot of my videos useful, because I really want to live in a Garden of Eden, in a utopian world. So let's get there, everybody. And do also subscribe to my email newsletter, because if you want updates from me and what's happening, anything new happening with me, or freebies or anything like that, let me know. Just subscribe to my newsletter. It's newsletter.weareinterconnected.com, but it's all down below this video in the description, so check that out. And that's really about it. If you have any comments or anything you want to post down below, please do. I really appreciate you coming here, and I'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.